There is a trait that every person has and can tap into that is potentially very useful in all areas of life, but particularly in relating to a tragedy, and especially a tragedy like the Holocaust. And that is the capacity that we have for submissiveness. Now, submissiveness has been given a pretty bad press in the general world. If you want to take that to its extreme, you will note that in Israel, they've invented the word friar, excuse me, to describe a submissive person. And the assumption is that the submissive person lacks assertiveness, doesn't give their own voice, doesn't have, and is ultimately going to be resentful. And that's not a useful application of submissiveness. To submit is to put somebody else's will above my own. And the expression that is used in Chazal is batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono. That's the expression that's used, is to submit by being mevatel your ratzon. So let's take recent events. Let's take Amalek. Well, how would submissiveness apply? So typically a person would say, I don't like to kill people. I don't even think about killing people. Killing people, especially men, women, little babies, that's not something that I do. But here's the catch. I feel so loved and so taken care of. I feel so indebted. I feel so safe in your presence, Hashem, that if this is your will, tell me where to start shooting. It's not what I would do. It's what I want to do because of my relationship with you. And in fact, the more you tell me what it is that you would want me to do, what would bring you pleasure, so to speak, the closer I feel. That is because I know that you would never ask me for anything that was not for my benefit. And it leads to this cycle of my constantly looking for, seeking out what your will is so that I can nullify my will before yours. And the idea that this comes or is somehow associated with resentment, loss of voice, etc., is because there's a sense that somebody who activates their submissive capacity will be abused by somebody who has a dominant tendency, that they will take advantage of the one who has a submissive capacity or has activated their submissive capacity. Some used to think that it was gender related, but it's not. It certainly may be more common, but it's everybody has this capacity. So if you use this illustration of destroying Amalek, and instead of looking at it as I'm being told to do something that is against my nature, you take a look at it through the other angle. The way the Chinuch describes it, that Hashem wants us to remember, even 3,500 years later, to remember how much he loves us, in that he will never forgive the one who started up with his children. So the message is not just that there's evil out there in the world and we are called upon to somehow obliterate evil. We are meant to remember and recall how much Hashem loves us, that he will not just let bygones be bygones. He will not, okay, we weren't perfect for these 3,500 years. It's not like we didn't have anything coming to us. Maybe we'll just forget about it. But Hashem says, if you forget about it, then you will forget how much I love you. And that you may not do. My hatred for Amalek is a product of and an expression of the degree to which I love you. And therefore, I will never look aside at someone who has started up with my children. I don't know much about bears. I suppose the Muncie folks know more about bears. But from what I understand is that it's not a good idea to be standing in the line of sight between a mother bear and her young, because she'll charge. The idea that there is a will that may not be broken. I am a proud submissive. A proud submissive means I have chosen proudly to submit my will before the will of Hashem. That's not a b'di'evet. That's not a state that I come to because he's bigger and tougher. It's a state that I come to because of my entire sense of gratitude, of safety, of the degree to which he is looking after me, that I place his will ahead of mine. And I don't just do it because he's bigger and better. I do it because it brings me closer to him. The more I could fulfill his will, know his will, fulfill his will, the better, the closer I feel. It's not the case that this is a burden. Quite the opposite. Given how I feel about Hashem and the degree to which he looks after us or after me, I would feel terrible if he never let me know what is his will. So it becomes a submissiveness to Hashem, which is actually a dominant submissiveness. It's a submissiveness that nobody can get in the way of. And as the person grows in that submissiveness, he's like the mother bear. I heard from one of Rav Shimon Schwab's sons that Rav Schwab Zatzal would choose one of his sons, maybe it was one of his children, I don't know, I only knew it as one of his sons, to sit next to him when they came of age at the Seder table. Now, this is one of those, don't try this at home, kids. But that child would look forward to it for years, because the Seder was completely an intimate conversation between a loving father and this child, where he was transmitting to this child, and everyone else was just eavesdropping on this interaction and this conversation between Rav Schwab and his son. And the warmth was palpable, and the intimacy was dominant in the room. And at some point in the evening, Rav Schwab turned to this boy who had come of age and was beaming at having this place of honor next to his father. And he said to him, "Do you know that Tati loves you very, very much?" And What a question. And what a question. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Rav Schwab said, and I want you to know that Tati loves Hashem even more. And don't do anything that will ever make me have to choose between my love for Hashem and my love for you. As I said, that's not one of those things you want to try at home, because the level of genuineness that is needed for a stunt like that is perhaps for some people would be considered above their pay grade. But the message is, I am a very proud submissive. I don't do Hashem's will, and I don't accept his will, and I don't accept his desires as an imposition. I have been mevatel my ratzon before his ratzon. I've placed them above. I have submitted my will to his will. And so when we're thinking about the ways in which Hashem has manifested in the world, and some people say, well, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea, I'm happy with this manifestation, I'm upset with this manifestation. And the Western world seems to very much support one man, one opinion. I mean, everybody is entitled to their opinion, and certainly their opinion about whatever it is that Hashem does. But there's a core capacity that a person has, and it is a fundamental Jewish trait to be able to activate the submissive component dominantly, to have it be the source of my intimacy, of my closeness, of my desire. Please let me know what I can do for you, and in what way I would do something that is totally not my nature. I don't kill, but I found out that you want these people destroyed. Where do I start? So I just wanted to mention that in the course of thinking about the ways that Hashem has manifested himself in the world, the activation of this submissive component can play a central role in learning how to love. Because a person who can't imagine activating their submissive component is loving from a place of supremacy, which is essentially loving themselves. If I say that I love fish, you won't believe me, right? Because I eat fish. I don't love fish. If I loved fish, I wouldn't eat them. Even if I would enjoy fish. If I loved fish, I wouldn't eat them. I don't love fish. I love meat. And that's why I eat fish that I enjoy. So love can become a very self-absorbed experience if there is not the capacity for submission. And so the place where we draw our ability to love is from our capacity to submit to Hashem. It's a complex notion that somehow that's where we learn how to love. But without it, I'm not sure that we can ever experience what it means to submit and to place the ratzon of Hashem above our own.